You're watching the 4 o'clock news on Oklahoma's News 4 with Jolene Chaney, Kevin Ogle, and Mike Morgan, bringing you more local news, more local weather. Oklahoma's News 4, looking out for you.
Well, it is a grim warning from the Census Bureau. They're predicting a rising wave of evictions in the U.S. in the coming months. The cost of rent has been rising. The median rent across the nation passed $2,000 for the first time. According to Rent.com, the average price of a one-bedroom apartment in Oklahoma City is now more than $950. Larger rentals up to 3 bedrooms are rising the fastest. They've increased in price by 20% in the last year alone. Joining us is housing expert David Rauch, whose company Protect Building Services helps condo and apartment communities maintain and manage their facilities. Welcome aboard. And have we ever seen a faster rise in rental prices than what's happening right now?
Yeah, hi Heather, and no, we haven't. Not in the 70s or 80s, not ever.
It really has seemed to be a sudden rise, and we've also had people in Oklahoma issues here. We've had investors, out-of-state investors, buying up homes and apartments and then raising the rental prices. So is this what's driving the buying of renters not only here in Oklahoma but across the nation?
It sure is, and they're coming from 3 places. One, they're coming from cities, and they're fleeing cities and forming new houses in the suburbs. And 2, there's about 400,000 Californians and also people from the East, people from New York City, leaving those states and seeking out, the suburbs, also because they can work remotely, which is great news. And then, there's people from just fleeing the cities, and that's what's causing rents to rise. There's one other factor, which are all of the undocumented immigrants, which we think there's about between 2 and 3 million of those folks.
Okay, so then do you think that right now we're in a housing bubble? Like, will rental rates go down if inflation slows?
Well, right now, August is the first month where actually the rental housing market has stabilized. And that's because most of those formations, those housing formations of new families has slowed down. So rents have stabilized, but they are up on average just over $2,000 nationally.
So then if affordable housing is in such high demand, why aren't developers just building more lower cost housing?
Well, affordable housing is actually part of the problem because it's highly regulated as to who you can build it for. If you look at California, California has got a very highly regulated market, the housing market. And any city you go to, you'll see the freeways lined with tents. And I point that out because that illustrates how highly regulated housing backfires. It does not work.
Interesting. Okay. Oklahoma City is using our 1-cent MAPS sales tax to provide more affordable housing here. But what about other cities? Are you seeing more cities stepping in to help those low-income renters?
Yeah, but again, New York City has rent stabilization, which is a euphemism for rent control. The entire state of California is now under rent control. And again, these are the type of regulations that do nothing but backfire and harm the free market system. Ultimately, what has to happen is builders have to build more for sale and rental housing. And the way you do that is you unleash those builders to build. You reduce the regulations, you don't increase them.
Well, we will see what happens with that. That's a lot of red tape to cross. Our thanks to David Rauch, founder of Protect Building Services, for being here.
Thank you, Heather.
And you can learn more about his company at protect.com.